I've been maybe getting in trouble lately more than I ever have. And let me just say that it's always for a laugh. I don't mean to get in trouble, and I get these ideas of thinking things are funny, and so I do them. Oh, and we'll get to Ernie Klein when I went to Michael Jackson's dermatologist. I didn't go to the one that actually killed him. I went to the one that almost killed him. There's two. Well, I didn't go to the one, what's his name, Chad Murray? Not the guy that actually did the propofol, but I went to the one who was his dermatologist for decades, and, you know, if you saw this guy, he's really on the edge. Okay, so, and I'll say about that in a second. So anyway, one episode of my life on the D-list is I decide to have a rally and do anything I can to help repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell, because I've been friends with the military. And so it was a real education for me, because having been over there and, you know, having gone to Walter Reed bases here and stuff, what I found just firsthand, and I'm not in the military, I'm certainly no expert, but I really have found that firsthand, the younger guys, and I mean like even under like 60, they really don't give a shit about the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy. It really seems to be an older generational thing. And especially because now, you know, obviously it's hard to get guys to even go over there, but, you know, the idea that they fired the Arabic translator because he was gay and all that other stuff is a little silly. So I wanted to kind of figure out why it's taking so long to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell. So I did whatever I could. And I went to D.C. and we do a whole episode there, and it's a fucking pisser. Now, first of all, I did a lot of stuff off camera to try to educate myself and some, you know, research and stuff. And I got my friends from CNN, John King and Dana Bash, and she's a senior senior Capitol Hill correspondent, and John King has that show, John King USA. So they're all up in the political world, and they were sort of my guides through who's who and who does what, and I'm just kind of a complete moron about that stuff. So I didn't know how anything worked or anything. So sure enough, I go, and I met many members of the military that had been affected by Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And what I didn't know is, I thought you got kicked out when you outed yourself. Like, I thought that if you went to your commanding officer and said, I'm gay, that that's what it would take. But I didn't know that you get kicked out based on a rumor. So I met many men and women who had served overseas and been kicked out because somebody else didn't like them, or maybe they got promoted over them, and you can actually get kicked out based on rumor or someone hacking into your personal emails and all that stuff. So part of the process of learning was I decided to attend my first Senate Armed Services Committee hearing, and yeah, well, here's the thing. I admit that it was, I should have learned more about protocol at a committee hearing, because I thought it was more of like an interactive Q&A. You know, like a town hall. Here's why. You know what? When those crazy fucking nutjob Tea Partiers can go to those town hall meetings and yell shit at people, then I should be able to go to a Senate hearing and just slightly call Saxby Chambliss a douchebag. I got kicked out. I got fucking ushered out. No cameras. No, just pure insanity. There was it was fucking awful. But can I tell you, for what it's worth, because when you hear these stories about the other side, and by the way, I really used to have respect for John McCain. I didn't vote for him, but I really respected him and everything he's been through. Boy, is that over. I couldn't believe that he was so disrespectful to the men and women that were testifying about how their lives had been ruined by having their benefits taken away, and how every single one of them wanted to go back to Iraq or Afghanistan. Every single one of them, after everything they'd been through. And then for John McCain, he wouldn't look at them, and he was rolling his eyes, and saying that if we let gay people be out in the military, then it's just going to lead to rape and sodomy of the younger privates and all this. It was just bizarre. And Saxby Chambliss started his bullshit, but let me tell you who was a fucking rock star. Your very own Carl Levin. Because I honestly, I'm going to be honest, I didn't even know what state he represented until I went to this hearing, and I was walking, and I know he's got like the hangdog face and everything, but holy shit. I would fuck him in a heartbeat, I swear to God. I would fuck him right after I fucked Armando. Woo! Michigan, in my mouth. So anyway, when Saxby Chambliss said to this to, and he served the country so bravely, et cetera, et cetera. And then Chandler said something like, you know, well, isn't it true that you can spread gay, and we can't have an outbreak of AIDS overseas? I know. So then I sort of stood up and said, I've had it, you douchebag. You know, it was obviously stupid, and the people I was there supposedly working with were looking at me like, this is not how you fucking do it. And so I was, at the Tom lost both eyebrows that day. And then there was another incident where I kind of bullshitted my way into this big, really high-powered Joe Biden event, and everybody was there. Rahm Emanuel was there, and you know, Scotty Brown was at my table, and I know that fucking travesty. What an idiot, by the way. All he did was talk about how it's awesome. He kept saying, it's so awesome to be in Washington. I have this little apartment now. It's like being single again. I have a big screen TV, and I just watch sports all the time. That's what Scott Brown said to me. That was my conversation, word for word, just FYI. And then I was next to Wolf Blitzer, who was really drunk, and he kept saying, hey, Kathy, guess what? Guess what you're with? The best political team on television. Get it? Yes, I got it. So anyway, it was interesting to see sort of the inner workings of Washington, and people were just getting openly hammered, and it's kind of surprising there aren't more like rail hunters and crazy scandals and Mark Foley's, and I love all that shit. So I got to meet, you know, a lot of people that I see on TV all the time, and I got on the escalator, and then who gets on right next to me? Michelle Bachmann of Minnesota. Yes. All right, now she's this nutbag who's like neck and neck with Sarah Palin, and she's big and she's very high up with the Tea Partiers, and I have to tell you, I get such a kick out of the Tea Partiers. I love those signs. My favorite one is, get your government out of my Medicare. Yeah. I love that. Like, if I had to pick a favorite Tea Party sign, that would be my favorite. And the other thing, I mean, I know we shouldn't be laughing because maybe they're really a threat, I don't know, but I gotta tell you, when those town hall meetings were going down, I didn't know until then that, you know, all these groups think they're scary. There's the gay mafia, there's PETA, there's Scientology, and these groups that get together. Who knew the scariest group in the world to piss off is old white people? Old